Tama. Hi.
Hi. Oh god, you actually started at the full timer. Never mind.
Fucking arguing about the Tama. Um,
Well, yes. So tonight's episode. Oh, no, I'm kidding.
well, evening, though.
Yes. Good evening, Khan.
How are you?
I'm good, bro. I'm good. Just cold shit.
Yeah, it is.
And my wife just stole my heater.
Yeah, ours is still burning in the corner here. Trying with all its might to keep us warm.
Don't run into gas, brother. And how are you this evening?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm cold despite wearing a short sleeve.
Yes, because
Um,
bad decisions are made.
dude, I live in a hoodie at the moment. It's the literal worst
So why aren't you wearing one now? Hi.
because because as I said, I live in a hoodie. I don't want to continue. I want to be in it all day. Moving on.
So,
Enough about my fashion choices. What are we speaking about tonight, Bill?
well, tonight's opinions come about for the three Disney Plus shows that were released uh, in succession, um, following WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and lastly Loki, which I
Hmm.
know we have a ranking of our favorites to worst.
I think our least favorites.
I think
Uh,
we'll leave that up to the viewers in chat to see if they can determine which one's which. It depends on
yeah,
which
it's
one you spend more time on, I guess.
well, for me personally, there's a clear winner and a clear loser for me.
I think there is a tie winner and a clear loser.
Uh, yeah,
It's to be
yeah.
discussed. It's to be discussed. We'll see how we go. But we can start our first, uh, let's call it segment, if you would like to, starting with WandaVision. So I don't know when you finished WandaVision, if you finished it as part of your 2.5 week uh, binge, if you'd call it that, or if you watched it after.
So I had finished all of the movies, and then I had moved on to the shows. So I watched all of that. Uh, Look, all of them do take place post um, Endgame. Endgame being the latest point we've seen so far. So
Yes and no.
no, they do. Well,
No.
yeah,
Well,
okay, fair
again,
enough. But
so let me put this out there again for all the viewers. There are loads of spoilers. We are going to go again in depth of our general views because we have watched all three series for ourselves. There is a lot of spoilers coming. So if you don't appreciate them, if you don't want spoilers, please stop now, turn away.
go watch them. Go watch all 12 hours, 12, 15 hours worth
Roughly.
of the shows, and then come back and watch the VOD. You can do it in a single night. Trust
Yes,
me.
and officially now the VODs will be uploaded to our YouTube channel. We officially have our YouTube channel up and running. No videos. Unfortunately, last week's VOD was not uploaded. We'll just leave it up to user error. But
Am I the user?
I didn't say it, you did. But no, we were still in the crux of getting everything sorted last week. So this week's official VOD will be uploaded. We haven't done this yet, so we're not sure how long it will take. But we will. It should be up within about 24 to 48 hours after this, I'm guessing.
It'll be it'll be up before Monday.
Well, I fucking hope so, because otherwise we have really shitty internet. But yes, so starting with the first one, the first out of the three that were, was it?
Were
Yeah,
released.
it was released. It was
Yeah,
released
it
first,
was One Division. So the order that we will be talking about them is the order that they were released.
and again to be decided whether it's least to favorite. We'll leave that up to everyone else. So
Um,
let's put it this way: you came to me ranting and raving about WandaVision,
no, 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 I didn't. I didn't come raving. I said try it,
and then
uh,
discuss.
and then we'll see what you think. Because I watched, I think, the first two episodes, and then I came to you, um, and I could not, for the life of me, figure out what the
Oh no, I
is going
was
on
I
in this
was
show.
very much lost as shit. Uh, it is very confusing.
Yeah,
For those who haven't watched it, try watch the first two episodes and see if you can make sense of it. Trust me, you cannot. So it
I,
will
I
be.
I found it to be, I don't want to say difficult to watch, but it just, there wasn't anything that compelled me. You know, I did binge watch, well, effectively from episode three onwards. No, no, I didn't binge watch the show at all. I'm lying. And it's that very fact is that I couldn't binge watch it. I was watching two episodes at a time. It took me a week to finish all of WandaVision because I'd be like, I could watch WandaVision or I could go and watch something
Fun.
else.
Yeah, no. So the same from my side. I think I took a lot longer. We ended up watching a stream of other series in the interim between episodes because part of me just couldn't latch
Get
onto the
into it.
series. Yeah, and it kind of for me dragged on too long. You know,
Another thing is that I just want to check here. WandaVision had how many episodes? WandaVision had
it was
nine
nine. Yeah,
episodes, and I don't know. It was nine episodes. It was half an hour an episode. So unlike, except for I think the last episode may have the runtime may have been
I think it was
um,
closer to 45 minutes.
45, 50 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah,
They were shorter episodes. They were far more bite-sized than the other shows, but I still, um, I couldn't get into it. There wasn't something that
that would have
was
plot
pushing
hook
me
you.
to like, oh, okay, I need to see what happens next.
Yeah, so obviously it's starting out as a put it in 1950s,
Yeah,
1960s.
it was very much 50s.
Yeah, starting out 1950s black and white sitcom type of show. I think they kind of played it in the same fashion as that show would have been, so they were kind of very short episodes, not much of occurred in terms of story base. Um,
Yeah,
but
the first bit, it, the greater picture sort of trickled in slowly. It was because then again, it is the whole show. Every time it moved time periods, it was modeled after a different show.
yes,
Like the first one was supposed to be I Love Lucy, and moves on, and then later, when it eventually gets to more modern times, it shifts to like Malcolm in the Middle and Family Matters,
yes,
that kind of stuff,
yeah.
and then eventually, I think, right as it's closing up, when it's at its most recent, it's doing like Modern Family esque.
I was about to say, especially with the whole interview based of the cast
Yeah,
during
that was
conversation, kind of
that was very like Modern Family, Curb Your
yeah,
Enthusiasm, fourth wall. The characters are playing with the fourth wall rather than just straight breaking it,
yeah, and
except in the
obviously
interviews.
yeah. So it's kind of got confusing, especially when characters were put like we can obviously speak about it. The two most powerful, two of the most powerful characters in the DC universe
Oh,
being
no, no, no. It's been confirmed that so because I've consumed a lot of content around this, Wanda is a Nexus being. She is one because each
well as the
timeline or
Scarlet
each
Witch, yes,
yes, but if each timeline can only have one Nexus being, and Wanda is the Nexus being.
well especially as you see later on throughout the
Yeah, when she's
series when
got
she
the Darkhold at the
yeah,
end.
and pretty much when she starts pushing the barrier a lot further than what it was previously and able
Yeah,
to pretty much mimic or change things as she wants.
she can change reality as it is.
Yeah.
She's got. Oh no, she's got the Mind Stone. She doesn't have the Ether.
No, she's the Ether. She was part of the Ether. That
No, no,
was.
she wasn't. That
Oh
was
no, she
mine. It was in
was
Mind Stone.
Loki's staff. Yes,
Yeah.
the Mind
So
Stone. Sorry, the color coordination of the Scarlet Witch's abilities flow more
it,
towards the
the
ether.
yeah, the Reality Stone.
Yeah, but ignoring that, also her ability to, in essence, in a loose term, bring back Vision, um,
But
to a
that
degree
wasn't,
of, yeah, yeah. Again, he
like she
wasn't.
explained, it wasn't Vision that she had brought back. It
It
was
was a
just a
memory.
piece. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was a piece of the Mind Stone that's in her.
yeah. But again, that version she brought back still managed to have a consensus of its own. Hence why I started asking questions. Why it's he started saying this
Yeah,
doesn't seem right.
he was fully autonomous. He was as much Vision as the real Vision was.
Only well, he was the Vision's. Wasn't no, he wasn't the Vision's body. They kept the Vision's body when they made
Yeah,
Vision
they still
2.0.
release the new Vision
Yeah,
to
which
fight him.
one of my favorite phrase my favorite talking points or conversations between two extremely intellectual beings occurred. It's the
Yeah, it's like
comparison of,
if I am you and you are me, then we are us. And
but we are also
look,
neither at the same time.
I did appreciate that scene. It was
Yeah,
very, very cool. And also, I think my theory is that that's how they're going to bring Vision back into the MCU.
yeah. Very different Vision, but also again very much the same. Where this Vision understands he is not the original Vision, but he is at the same time.
But he himself is not the original Vision, but his conscious is now going to be closer to that of Vision.
Yeah, because he flooded him
original
with the
Vision.
memories from
Yeah,
himself, which again, very powerful for a,
a memory.
a memory to be able to do that to a real life. Well, I say real life, a somewhat living being, and it just takes this information from this special, like this one event that happened, and now is able to go out into the rest of the world and continue being what's happened there, instead
I
of
guess
as it leaves the barrier loses those memories.
I guess that's actually quite uh it's something to think about. Is like while I keep wanting to say Captain America and the Winter Soldier, while Falcon and the Winter Soldier was going on, what was Vision doing?
You see now, yeah, because well, I mean, it depends on how long after Endgame this occurred, because it showed later on in the episodes it showed um, Wanda Maximoff leaving, in a fit, going to this company that took hold of the body. This is within the 5 year blip that
No,
occurred.
this is that's post blip.
Post
Because remember,
return.
she
Yes,
was
yes, yes, yes. Post return of the blip. Sorry.
mm,
So, I mean, she goes, sees the body, says her goodbyes, then goes to a random town and overtakes everything.
but
The people,
the town that she does overtake. Remember, Vision had bought or
a
he had
house. He
yeah he
purchased
had
a
bought the
plot
house.
or piece of land for them to build and start anew.
Yeah, to
Yeah,
start like a family.
yeah. So obviously that gives a reason as to the location. It still bends like every common logic towards a series that I've seen. A person like goes somewhere in a fit of emotional being, something happens, and they change in a manner, and which exactly happened here. But being a super being, being the
She's
Scarlet
I
Witch,
I'd contend that even before she fully becomes the Scarlet Witch, uh, I'd say that she was one of the strongest Avengers.
I
'Cause
would
she,
put it, yes, I would contend the same thing. And again, it then pushes me back to the discussion we had last week. It it wasn't done justice.
it wasn't. It's the same, and that was the point that I made last week. Is that they're not giving the female led um, properties the due that they should. They're not putting the correct writers or the correct um, directors or directors and writers that are on the same caliber on these projects. even if we compare them to the other two shows, which, I mean, we'll discuss those in a second. But damn, I love those two.
In comparison, definitely. I think
I mean,
I'd started with the Winter Soldier, and then went back to watch the entirety of um, not the Winter
WandaVision.
Soldier, sorry, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and went back to watch WandaVision, and eventually struggling through that entire series, went straight and started Falcon and the Winter Soldier all over again, which has its own merits and false issues with it. But again, we'll get to that later. But for some parts of it, I really enjoyed it. Bringing back characters from previous Marvel um, movies that had a role, but were kind of the sidelined versions compared to the main characters. I enjoyed that, especially Wong. Wong came back, and
Where did one come back?
not that Wong, Detective Wong.
Oh yeah, I loved seeing him in this because there was also something that he did when he gave I can only think of Thingy's daughter.
The
What's the
scientist, the what is she? She studied cosmic radiation.
the Monica Rambeau.
Yes,
So she's Carol Danvers' best friend's daughter.
yes,
So uh, he does a card trick with his business card. He makes it appear. He does a palm trick and makes it appear and then gives it to her.
yeah, and
That directly ties into when he was
he was
speaking to Scott.
yeah, and he was busy also watching the YouTube videos of magic
Yeah,
tricks and stuff
back
like
in
that.
Ant-Man.
Yeah,
And I
and
thought that was fucking excellent because it is
it's character progression for a character you didn't think would
you,
progress.
you don't you know it's not somebody that you exactly need to care about or you know
Again, out of the entire series of that, he was my favorite character.
he, but I dig to see him in more stuff because he is just so much fun. Um,
I'm pretty sure they'll bring him back as the connection on the inside. When they need assistance
I
or something, or
I suspect that
to
in
set up
the
minor plot points.
Marvels he's gonna be in, and maybe Quantumania, because that is slated to come out soon. When I say soon, I do mean within the next 2 years.
I heard he's back for Shang-Chi.
Is
Thanks
he?
to Laura. Yes, in the chat. To Laura in the chat. Apparently, he might
Oh,
be back for
that'd be
Shang-Chi,
so dope. I'm
which again is the next major
I am
Marvel movie.
so excited for Shang-Chi.
We will have to discuss that once the movie's done, or we could do
I
a pre-discussion as well of expectations. But I
look,
think
I'm hyped for it. I'm hyped for literally. I'm just running through the Phase 4 announcements, and I'm keen for every single one of these. There's not a single thing on this list that I'm like, eh, about. I mean, I'm in it full ball, dude.
yeah, no, I'm super excited. I saw a poster recently of the Multiverse of Madness, and whew, it ties in very closely to Loki. So seeing that poster
That's okay.
specifically,
So that is something I also wanted to touch on just before we move on to our next topic. Uh, what One Division ties into, all the hints and bits that it alluded to. So the first one and the biggest one being Multiverse of Madness.
yes,
It's been announced that the ending, the post-credit scene with Wanda in the Darkhold, that's going to directly tie into Multiverse of Madness because Wanda's now a Nexus being, and Doctor Strange does not like uh, things from other dimensions.
yeah. So
That's a big no-no for him.
very exciting. But again, main discussion for this segment being WandaVision.
Yeah,
I
no, no, just
was
I'm just saying
no, no, no.
the stuff that it's tying into.
I'm good at segments. Just bringing it back. Um, but no, just part of again, some parts I guess could have been done.
Oh no,
Most
most
parts could have
definitely.
been done a lot better. I mean, there was a post-credit scene that confused the hell out of me because I had to go back about 3 or 4 episodes just to see if it actually occurred in the series
Which was
or
what?
when the agent that made it through the barrier was looking for Wanda, and she
Oh yeah.
stares down the like a door openings to a basement, and she sees these black vines coming out of this basement. Now, I had gone back to the previous episodes and, in essence, skimmed through as much as I could, and that scene did not appear in any of the previous episodes, nor did it occur as post-credit scenes. And part of me bugs me if you're going to be doing a previously on, you know, intro
Yeah.
to a series, you have to include what was seen. Otherwise, it leaves viewers a bit lost and wondering if they've missed something. So, part of me, big part of me, really got upset about that, especially because I thought I had missed something, and thinking you've missed something, then you kind of want to know if if you've got the whole view of this.
Um. Yeah. Though I do know that um, WandaVision was heavily edited. Um, there's stuff in the end credit scene for the last episode.
Yes.
It was heavily edited, so other stuff like this could have slipped through the cracks.
Yeah. So I mean,
Um,
I don't necessarily blame them, but again, if it's something important
if it's
when it
something major
comes,
like that,
yeah,
like Agatha's, who she really is.
yeah. So I mean, again, brilliant acting done, especially by um, certain casts that weren't necessarily viewed as main characters. Um, Also, the way it tied into bringing out the full view of um, how Scarlet Witch ends up seeing herself in the correct light, how Wanda sees herself eventually viewing herself as Scarlet Witch. I mean, throwing those little jokes into the Halloween clothes, how they dressed up. They dressed up as the comic book versions of these characters that they are playing was
Yeah,
fantastic. How they brought in the correct Silver Surfer, so Quicksilver, sorry, not Silver Surfer, Quicksilver. How they brought in the correct Quicksilver from the X-Men universe.
not the correct exactly, but the best.
Yeah, well, the best out of what we've seen, and not not Hawkeye's shield, from Age of Ultron. But yeah, it's all of these series pretty much set up a way forward for the Marvel universe, especially in terms of the movie cinematic universe coming out soon. I think a lot of them did well to set up certain parts in that they have set them up, but a bit more explanation or a bit more understanding could have gone into it. I mean, putting it at even 10 episodes or 11 or 12 episodes would have given a bit more distance between to give you a bit more juice, a bit more stuff to nab onto for the rest of the series, for the rest of the movies that are coming out.
Yeah. So the properties that were sort of the ties are that were like sprinkled in was, of course, as I said, Doctor Strange. At the very end, another end one was Secret Wars,
Yeah.
which I don't really see because Secret Wars in the comics was a Skrull invasion, and they've painted Skrulls in a very nice light in the MCU.
Yeah, especially
With
since
yeah, with
Captain Marvel.
and with Fury being on the Skrull ship at the end of Far From Home.
Yeah, and yeah, so
And then also the last one, just I'll let you finish in a second. The last one being the Marvels, because of Monica. There's that scene where they shoot at the kids,
yeah, and
and the
Monica gets in
bullets like
front.
yeah, and they like pass through, and she's got that like energy that Captain Marvel has.
Yeah, that pretty much absorbs it and then really like slows
Yeah,
down the
she like
bullets.
slows down the bullets.
That was a fantastic and confusing introduction to a character I have ever seen. I mean, it starts off with her coming back from the blip, where she was beside her mother in hospital. Her mother had cancer and then dies. You know, 3 years or 2 years into the 5 year gap between Ash and no Ash, and and then it goes from her somehow from that to her immediately being able to
That
work back at post of what she was doing prior to the blip.
Yeah, I don't know. I dug the way that they introduced her, but they didn't really give it enough breathing room
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
for me.
If they split it into a longer series, being at least like 12 episodes, because I mean
Mm.
that's the end of One Division. There is no more season 2
Yeah,
coming out for it. There is, so ending it there. I mean, a bit more. I'm not going to say spoon fed, but for those people who don't necessarily focus hard on the MCU universe, especially from comics versus movies, and what's to come, especially when a certain character pops up, giving them a bit more of a story and not just throwing their name out there expecting you to know who they are.
I, do, I don't even think like I don't think they're really expecting you to know who they are. I do feel, however, that aren't they're not giving the characters enough time to just be them.
Yeah,
So
I
like
mean, for me
the,
personally, she was a quick progression from
yeah, there
a small piece to something that could be very major
yeah, and
going
also
forward.
the fact that she got her powers by pushing through the barrier, and no other explanation is
Yeah,
given there.
so again, it's something that doesn't quite make sense.
Doesn't like
Yeah, so uh, I do enjoy the bending of reality though from outside the barrier versus inside. The little changes that had to be made to certain parts, like the drone and um,
yeah,
the agent that went through the tunnels ended up becoming like a beekeeper.
a weird beekeeper.
Yeah,
Yeah,
with a weird
and
symbol on him. I
that was
mean,
the sword logo.
yeah, and it was extremely confusing when they show it to you the first time, and then later on when they show you what's happening outside the barrier, it then ties into itself, but still leaves you questioning like what the hell.
Yeah, and I fear that a lot of people who aren't as dedicated watchers as a couple of us are, you might drop that show because there's nothing, there's no driving force. There's nothing that makes you wanna like
Yeah,
keep going.
yeah, especially
Because
with Monica's character. Her name's Monica. If I'm
yeah,
Yeah, with her character, a lot more detail can be given in a movie of how she came to be. I mean, it could be done in a 10-minute recap of how she became, and you could skip the entirety of One Division without ever missing that.
or they could look. She's gonna most likely appear in the Marvels because that's what that was linking to, and I think that they could have spent more time on her rather than just, oh, she has powers now.
Yeah, and especially
So
towards the end, she doesn't even question these abilities that she's got.
yeah, she's just like,
She
cool, I got
absorbs
powers.
bullets and then carries on like it's a normal Tuesday, which is again very confusing. As most of you can tell in chat, this is probably one we didn't enjoy as much,
Yeah.
but we do have to unfortunately move on. Final reviews, final views of the series. What would you give the viewers? Chat. What would you tell them?
Ah, look, if you are really into Marvel, watch it. If you're not, uh,
Give it a skip.
unless you're willing to slog through 3 hours worth of content, I don't know if it's worth it.
Yeah, for me, it's very much like Black Widow. I watched it once. I'm not gonna go out of my way. I'm not gonna watch it again, even if I have to do a full review. I personally would feel like I could skip the entirety of WandaVision and still understand the same amount as if I'd watched WandaVision.
Yeah, because Vision's gonna come back in an Avengers movie, and you're just gonna be like, okay, cool, Vision's back. That's awesome.
Yeah,
And
but this one's
continue.
white, and I'm pretty sure, like because that's how his structure was made up in the end, was with a vibranium with a
Well,
white
remember that
coat.
that Vision is it's still Vision's body.
Yeah, but he
It's a
could.
salvage of
Yeah,
Vision.
he can change pretty much what he needs to.
Right,
So
he can change into a human. So
yeah,
I'm sure he can go from being stark white to being all
yeah.
gold,
Again,
red, and green.
still one of the best parts about that series though was that final battle. That comparison between the two intellectuals, especially the reference to the ship, was fantastic. But I would say skip it completely, and you could probably watch the recaps in some of the movies. When the movies come out and involve these characters, it will most likely give you a recap of those characters and how they came to be. You would understand just as much, personally. But
Yeah.
now we're going to move on to something that has, or something that had the world raging in anger, confusion, but as well a bit of joy. We are moving on to Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yes.
I loved it.
It was awesome.
It was fantastic. Skipping aside one minorly major piece of the movie, which again does tie into, was a lot better explained, personally feeling. We're talking about the introduction of the new, well, new old version, or the old new, I don't know how do you put that, but Captain America,
John Walker.
John Walker being introduced as Captain America, being a normal human being, by the way, being able to do
For
those
the most part.
for the
like
most
half of
part
the
up
show.
until he, took the super soldier serum, which again, spoilers, if you don't want it, go watch the series first and watch the VOD after. But yes, a major problem with not only people who understand the comics and have enjoyed Marvel Cinematic Universe, but also throwing the normal fans, the not so knowledgeable fans of Marvel Cinematics, when they're bringing in a whole new, Captain America. It had the world in anger. At
Which I don't. I understand being angry. I don't understand being angry enough to send the actor death threats.
Yes, and that is a big part that I mean, that got me kind of, very pissed off with, as a fan of Marvel. Why would you send death threats to an actor? I
Well,
mean, the
obviously,
actor is they put the directors put out a role that they want people to audition for. The people audition, get the job, and obviously do what they are paid to do.
I think the issue is that people are so passionate about these characters that when something like this happens, they get sort of like blinded by the idea that, oh no, this guy's now Captain America. When obviously they were setting up Falcon to be Captain America or be
Yeah,
the new Captain America.
not
Because
only that,
that's
yeah, no, very much true, but also the intricacies of, becoming an actor and how they play certain parts. It's a lot of it comes down to the director's choice.
and
So sending
look,
a
yeah,
sending an actor death threats for a position he merely,
it's his job.
it's his
It's
job.
like
He was
it's
paid
like
to do
sending
something.
an office worker death threats because they doing their job.
Because your cell phone contract came to an end from, from
Yeah.
somewhere else, and it's like, again, I did it recently, but yelling at the call center agent for something that happened in a completely different department. It had nothing
Uh,
to do with them, but
but
I
I thought
guess
that that guy, the guy who played John Walker. Let me get his name quickly.
he did a fantastic John Walker point of view, especially how they led into what will be coming next in the Marvel universe. It was a fantastic setup for his character and that he will be playing going forward. I think it was pretty good.
Um, Wyatt Russell was the guy's name. Or is
Wyatt
the guy's
Russell.
name. And I thought that he did a great job as somebody who's being given the mantle of, the symbol of freedom and America, and him needing to live up to that and
Failing
cracking
to
a
do
little
so.
bit.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, Steve Rogers starting out as this
Well,
person
Steve
who.
Rogers was was the perfect human being. He was
Yeah, I mean, he was never given a chance to do what he wanted to do, and when he eventually did get the chance, he made sure he showed
he
up
did
for
it
it.
right. Yeah.
And
Um,
obviously, John Walker was thrown into it because he was good.
Yeah, and not because Captain America was made Captain America because of who he was, not because of what he could do.
Yes,
Where what John Walker was
the
made Captain
opposite.
America because of what he could do, not who he was.
Yeah, and they do go in depth, or they do go in a bit of detail about his abilities to do things that you know.
Like a normal human wouldn't, but it's not at a superhuman level.
No, it's just as a person who's trained hard, spent a lot of their time doing it. So again, death threats out of line. Don't do that. But
Don't send actors death threats.
it's
If you
gotten.
don't like it, like
Stop
tweet
watching
about it,
it,
but don't stop watching about it and tweet that you didn't like it. Don't send the dude death threats.
or do what we do and have a podcast about your opinions.
Just bitch about it.
Exactly.
Um,
But
but
I loved it.
yeah,
The
no,
entire series was
it was awesome, and
fantastic.
it gave me the same feeling that the original Winter Soldier movie did, which was it's not a superhero um, show. It's
Yeah.
a it's more of a spy thriller
Yes.
with superhero elements.
Yeah, I mean the beings have these abilities, but so do their enemies. So it's pretty much good versus bad. You know, which one's gonna win in the end, type of thing.
Yeah.
It's, I
And
mean,
also, it brought it down to a far more personal level for me because it dealt with real people dealing with
real problems.
real problems like the treatment of black people in America and uh, again John
Minorities
Walker
and so forth. Yeah.
and actual like the psychology of people rather than just I'm a superhuman, I can do
Do
whatever
anything.
I
Yeah.
want.
Especially when at the moment when John Walker had his friend got kicked and killed when he got hit against one of these pillars and he dies,
And
and John
he had a
Walker
human
rages.
reaction.
He had a pure human reaction. He's not this, oh, that's fine, I'm gonna let it go, or I'm a.
Yeah, I'm gonna
He,
catch these people and make sure they go to jail.
yeah, no,
He
he
was
went
blinded
and
by
he,
rage.
yeah, and he beat the shit out of the guy and stabbed him multiple times with the end of the shield.
Yeah, that guy was a mash at the end.
Yeah, and especially having it out there. I mean, you see how everyone does react to, outburst violence within an area. Everyone's on their phones. They're recording it.
Yeah, everybody's
So
recording it.
yeah,
But I did look. A lot of these shows are just pushing other products, other properties of Marvel.
yeah.
Um,
But I feel like this one was done
it,
correctly in
it
terms
did
of setup,
a good job.
especially how at the end when Falcon does eventually decide he's fully taking on the mantle of both Falcon and Captain America, who is a non-super soldier Captain America, but is still the idea of what Captain America is supposed to
Yeah,
be.
and I think that's why Steve gave um, Anthony Mackie's character, what's his name? Falcon? Sam Wilson.
Sam Wilson, yeah.
Why he gave Sam the shield because of who Sam was, not because of what he could do.
Yeah, and
And he believed that he was he needed to be the next person to carry the Captain America mantle.
yeah, and
No,
I thought
well,
it was I thought it was played perfectly, especially from Sam Wilson's perspective, feeling like he wasn't a super soldier, he didn't deserve to do it.
yeah, he
and
wasn't going to be Captain America, and you can see the struggle.
the internal struggle of a character of a
Yeah.
normal human being. But not only that, it's him also then realizing what Captain America was for. Again, it was a symbol.
Yeah,
It wasn't a overpowered being. It was a symbol for a nation, which was exactly what he ended up being.
yeah, no, definitely, and it was just great.
And I think you also appreciate the inclusion of
Valentina.
Valentina
Uh,
towards the end,
Uh, y-
especially taking.
she was my issue. She was one of my issues, Black Widow. But in this, again, I have a very low bar for the Marvel shows because I understand that they are there specifically to set up other product.
Yeah,
So
I
her
mean,
inclusion was the Thunderbolts, which was her same purpose at the end of Black Widow, is to bring Yelena as the new Black Widow into the Thunderbolts.
which is a perfect example of how to include that when they do bring out this cinematic piece, these people won't just be coming out of nowhere,
Yeah.
but understanding a full backstory is
Though they
still a
did,
bit off.
I did find that in Captain America and the Winter Soldier, and in in all the shows, there's certain things that happen that feel kind of forced. Like Valentina just showing up didn't feel as smooth and as natural as it should have been,
And also
but
them straight away
it's
putting trust and whatever they need to into this woman and just doing what she says when there hasn't really been anything to back up what her purpose is.
yeah, she's just there and she's like,
And she hands them
I
a
need you.
card with no writing on it.
Yeah.
It's a black card, black and white card on black on one side with white on the other. Just hands it to uh, John Walker's wife, and then continues talking as if she has this massive importance.
Well,
No
look,
one knows.
she does, and but that again, that's coming from the comics. You know, she was Lady Hydra at a point.
Yeah, but I mean,
Um,
looking at it from my perspective, I have not read that much about the Marvel
the
comics,
comics, yeah. So
but
you don't know
yeah,
who the hell this woman is.
yeah. So
Um,
it kind of threw me for a loop, but
so,
also I like to know that there's progression for these characters going forward.
mm. And I do like the fact that even though again it was a little forced, um, John Walker's redemption arc was was solid for me.
Yeah,
It seemed a bit too quick, and they should have taken their time with it. But I'm glad that he got the redemption. He made a mistake
yeah, and it's not.
in killing that guy and in taking the serum. And a lot of arguments can be made for how he handled those situations,
Uh,
but I do like the fact that there was still a measure of redemption for him.
Yeah, I mean, and his understanding towards the end of the series being that he knows he hasn't, you know, done right by any manner, but to show that he's on a step or on a pathway
Yeah.
to becoming better or to being what he aspired to be in the first place.
Mm.
Maybe not
Which,
becoming Captain America, but being a symbol in some other manner.
yeah, doing or not necessarily being a symbol, but doing good for the sake of doing good.
Yeah, not
Um,
doing good for his own needs.
yeah, and I did really like the fact that they got Julia Louis Dreyfus to play Valentina.
Thanks for the the follow,
Thank you,
Talora.
Talora. I did like that. But yeah, and it just I dug it, and I feel like this the entire first season. I don't think a second season has been announced, but
Not as
the
yet, no.
the first season did feel very much like it was focused on personal betterment. So like Bucky striving to
To
make good
come
on
from this Winter Soldier,
the Winter Soldier
Soviet
and
Russian, mind controlled being,
super
super soldier.
killer.
I mean, it shows the progression of him training hard enough so that the random words that activate him no longer affect him. I
But
thought
not
that
only
was
that,
fantastic.
that was cool. That bit in Wakanda, that
Yes.
was excellently done.
Yeah.
But also the stuff about him, like all the people that he helped put in power as the Winter Soldier, scratching them off the list.
Yes.
I
But
thought that was excellent, where he stopped the car, and then he was like, "Hi, I was the Winter Soldier. I got you into power, and now I'm doing right by
yeah,
taking
my
you
name
away."
is Bucky, and you're now getting arrested.
Yeah, I thought that was excellent.
And it was a comedic play on a serious, psychological aspect for a character. Him saying, yeah, and also not harming anybody, but immediately punches the guy that is sitting next to the woman he's trying to talk to.
I think the biggest thing around that not hurting anybody was not killing anyone.
Yeah,
Because
but I think it played a little on the idea of actually not hurting anybody in any
hurting
manner.
anyone, like not punching people with your vibranium arm
Yeah, and
and
obviously,
super strength.
yeah, and I just thought it was
Um,
fantastic, especially the fight scene in um, the I can't remember the location, but where they're fighting the actual Wakanda um, army, well, the scouts that were sent forward to retrieve the Russian spy that originally, activated the Winter Soldier.
mm,
Fine, going off, and then in that fight scene, them taking off what they gave to him, reminding him that what's given to you as a person can always be taken away. So
Yeah.
cherish what you do and the connections you have.
Yeah,
Uh,
I thought that was excellent because she did it in like three subtle hand gestures and his arm fell off.
yeah, and,
And
and then he
and
kind of just looks at it on the floor, looks back, looks at the arm, and I thought it was
and
funny, but at the same time, it was again a very character-based
mm,
scenario.
yeah. And going back to my point about, it was like the progression. So um John Walker realized, coming back from who he was and now taking the step to being better. Bucky's still bettering himself and Sam
Fighting,
accepting that
yeah,
he is.
fighting with whether he's worthy or not,
Yeah.
and then him finally realizing what he was supposed to be worthy of,
Hmm.
not necessarily ability, but his reasoning for doing things.
Yeah.
And I thought
Um,
this series, out of the previous podcast we had, and speaking about One Division, this is the first one that I had seen so far that had actually given a full explanation to the characters, the main characters involved, lead ups to any further coming, as well as showing the human side of everything. So it flowed a lot better. It gave a lot more information to the viewer, and you weren't really left questioning why. So
yeah.
again, for me, I wouldn't say 10 out of 10, but it would
Was
pretty much be up
good.
there. It was very good. Something I can definitely rewatch and not have an issue with. I could rewatch and enjoy again and again and again.
Yeah, no, that it's definitely something that is very rewatchable. One thing that people did have um, an issue with is that this was supposed to be closer to a buddy cop type.
Yeah, between Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, and I felt that it did a good job of that.
I think it did a better job compared to two people that were told to just be together and they were like, cool, let's get it done. They had a past. The two characters had a
Mm.
history, and especially the main connection between them being the original Captain America. They both
Yeah,
had
because
their griefs with each other. You know,
Bucky and Steve were friends for a very long time.
yeah, and
They
then
grew up together.
and Falcon and Steve became extremely close during the Civil
After
War.
Steve, yeah, after Steve came back from the ice,
Yeah,
and they both had a strong connection to Steve. They were both very close to Steve, um, and I think I think that was also a bit of the tension is that like, no, he's my best friend. No, he's my best friend.
no, he's not yours. He's mine. I knew him best. No, it was very very argumentative about that. But again, it was the um, subtle gestures between each other, between both of them. Especially like not trying to one up each other in certain scenarios, but trying to be like, yeah, no, you see, I'm the right one, or no, no, look, I was right about this, and eventually them coming to an understanding that they could actually, for the sake of their friendship with Steve Rogers, the original Captain America, they could work together and actually ended up becoming a closer bond or a good enough bond for what they had just lost. So
Yeah,
definitely, I would highly suggest this is one to watch.
definitely. Also, the end, like nearing the end, the reveal of who the power broker is, because
That was insane.
I was like, okay, is it Sharon? No, it can't be Sharon. They refer to the power broker as a he, so Baron Zemo,
But yeah, but they'll
or
remember
Zemo,
they also often refer to that no one's seen the power
the
broker.
power broker,
He always
and
leads everyone from the shadows.
there's
And then
also a um. I'm just trying to think of what the country's name is that they go to. Starts with an M.
it wasn't necessarily a country. It was just a kind of like a pirate's bay within a city where lawlessness can occur, but it's run by a person type of thing. Madripoor, thank you
Madripoor.
very
Thank
much.
you.
See, there's our our Marvel
Uh,
buff in the comments over there. Thank you very much, Laura, for that. Madripoor.
there's a thing in the Shang-Chi trailer where they're in Madripoor and there's a bit of graffiti that says the power broker is watching. And that was before Sharon was revealed to be the power broker.
And especially
And
now, knowing what we saw at the end credit when she gets exonerated, which again was something a door left open by Marvel, which no one looked at.
but it does lead into uh, a new another property. So shall we discuss those quickly?
In a second, I just want to just appreciate again that reminder of Sharon. She was the Shield agent who stole the Falcon and Captain America gear and
Yeah,
brought it to Falcon and or Sam Wilson and Steve Rogers so that they could go, and they ended up having the civil war that
yeah.
occurred.
It was during the events of Civil War that she
Yeah,
stole the shield and wings.
and
Uh,
she in essence got treated as a
as a
wouldn't-
terrorist.
as a terrorist, yeah, and so she was pretty much she left the country, well, she fled for the sake of not being jailed or sent to that famous
To the
American.
raft.
Well, yeah, to the
Because
raft.
everybody who's involved with superheroes, they don't get sent to regular prison. They get sent to the raft.
And they don't get sent
Which
to
is
normal terrorist prison either. They go to the water
also
version.
you made a comment just now about Sam still being Falcon and Captain America. I don't think so. Because the guy, Talora, what was his name? I'm gonna just straight up ask Talora to tell me the soldier's name. Sam's friend in
Oh, the one
Legend
that he
of Morocco.
keeps, yeah, the one he ended up giving the,
Torres.
yeah,
Yes.
Taurus.
Okay.
He ended
So
up giving the wings to when they
in
had
the
been ripped
comics,
off.
Torres becomes a version
Falcon.
of the Falcons. So what I think, and I discussed this with Laura as well, is that since Sam is no longer the Falcon, Torres is going to mend the wings because he still makes the comment about wanting to help Sam fix them
Yeah,
after the
when
first
he
mission.
yeah, and he said he could actually make them a bit better.
So I think Torres is going to take over as Falcon. He's going to be the new Falcon, while Sam is Captain America now.
Yeah, I mean, looking at it in its entirety, it for me it doesn't put a block point in any of those outcomes for me. I'm happy with whichever decision Marvel ends up deciding to go with, whether it
Yeah.
becomes a Falcon 2.0 or a new character in its entirety, and Sam Wilson continues to be both, or he focuses on being Captain America. For me, it doesn't matter.
He's not just Captain America with wings.
Yes, he's Captain America without super serum but can fly. So again, whichever decision they decide to go forward with, I am not unhappy in any manner. I
Uh,
am I am very pleased with the way they ran this, and the way they've left open ended in certain parts. It's more of
the
excitement for me.
the one thing that I really dug, especially around the ending, is the end credits where it started off saying the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but then shifted to saying Captain America.
Captain
and the
America,
Winter
yes.
Soldier.
When they eventually
So
changed the logo itself to
yeah,
say Captain America and the Winter Soldier,
so that is
which
showing that Sam is now
taking the full,
solidly
yeah,
in as Captain America.
yeah. So
Um,
I'm very excited, especially when I saw a bit of teaser with the new uniform or the new suit that Sam Wilson
I
had
dislike the
donned.
colors.
Um,
I can't
it was a
stand the
change. It
colors.
was a change. I wasn't necessarily unhappy. I was pleased to see that there was a progression from a character who was, shown as over the top or someone very powerful just for what he has and what he's able to do, then being brought back to a human standpoint, reminding him that, you know, again, character progression of how important that is, bringing down to a normal human level, and then him building himself up in a new manner. So
Yeah.
new suit, new manner, new him.
Florian Chase, Falcon and the Winter Soldier may open up a lot of possibilities more organically than the other shows. It didn't feel as forced. Eli Torres, John, etc.
Yes,
I
definitely.
do agree with you there, except the only forced one for me was the inclusion of Valentina. That just sort of came out of nowhere. There wasn't a gradual build up to it. But the
For me, it was a better introduction to Valentina than what occurred in Black Widow. Black Widow was out of the blue.
it really was. But that moves us on to the stuff that this set up. Would you like to hear them? There is a slightly longer list this time.
I am very much ready. Should I change?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Captain America 4. So Captain America starring Sam as Cap.
Yes.
The Thunderbolts
Being with
because of
Valentina.
Valentina, and also U.S. Agent was a member in the comics was a member of the Thunderbolts.
Okay.
So he's most likely going to be the Captain America of the Thunderbolts.
Yeah, being John Walker's character.
Because he's now, but so this character that he's now in the black Captain America suit, it's the character, the superhero's name or the anti-villain's name is U.S. Agent.
Yes, I remember they do mention that as well within
Yeah.
the series.
So the next one, right at the end, when Sharon says, when she's on that call and she says about
State secrets are now for
state
sale.
secrets, yeah, that's going to set up Armor Wars. So that's where the Stark level tech gets into the wrong hands. That is going to have Don Cheadle as War Machine again.
Which I'm
As
very
Rhodey.
excited about.
Yeah, but I think Armor Wars is a show. So this is the first one where they're not setting up a show but a movie.
Yeah, so in terms of the setups compared to Black Widow and WandaVision, this did everything justice. In all aspects, they've done extremely well.
And then, so it was the Thunderbolts, Captain America 4, and Armor Wars. And then, so the Thunderbolts also, because originally the Thunderbolts were formed with Zemo. So Baron Zemo is now also going to be part of the Thunderbolts.
But now the question is, how does Zemo get there? Because Zemo was last seen taken to Wakanda.
He was. Remember, he's in when the thing explodes. The Wakandans also say that they're taking him to the raft when they're all in Sokovia.
Yes.
The Wakandan that helped Bucky get over the trigger words.
Yeah.
She still says no, they're taking him to the raft, and that's where he orchestrates killing all of the.
Yes, you do see him in the raft at the end.
Yeah, when they blow up the super soldiers in the trucks.
Yes.
So that solves one problem.
But leaves open a whole new other. But again, it's. I think they've done extremely well. Definitely, yes. For any of those who are viewing that haven't watched it yet, this is one
Definitely
to go and watch. Yes. Not only is it just a very good series, but if you're a massive Marvel fan, you've been watching since what in essence we are counting as the start, being Iron Man 1. This is a very good interaction between the cinematic universe and the I say cinematic, the movie universe versus the series. Yeah, so this is a perfect inclusion.
Because this one also it does a lot for character development.
Yeah.
It doesn't just go from oh she's sad to oh she's powerful.
Yeah.
It doesn't, as Deadpool says, fridge. It doesn't just make a leap in an episode or two. It's a gradual, and again that's what we've been arguing since we spoke about Black Widow, is that there's given enough time for characters to evolve and get to the place that the show wants them to be in a more organic way.
Yeah. So especially as Talora said, the possibilities that are coming out of this, it leaves it with, no matter what the outcome is, the method in how it got there was fluid from beginning to end without issue.
Yeah.
So yes, very much agreed. Thank you, Talora.
Okay.
All right.
Shall we move on to the last one?
So now moving on to what you definitely wanted to be raving about for a while, but told me to wait for the podcast just so you could do this. We got
Loki is the
movie.
best. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Okay, so I said in the very beginning of this, I had two favorites. Loki and Winter Soldier are my favorites. They are they both have their ups, they both have their downs, but again, I appreciated them both for their standalones. You know, taking it apart away from everything else. I appreciated them as they were. The series were done very well. I mean, Loki involving, in my opinion, a lot more CGI
Oh
than
no, no,
anything.
that was all real. Every single bit.
Oh yes, no, the TVA
Yes,
definitely
definitely
was. Yeah,
exists.
no, someone led an entire camera crew into the TVA
Yeah.
without calling them variants. Yes, that is definitely how this got.
Okay, but the show, for reals, it just oh, it was such a feast for the eyes. Like
It-
cinematically, it is some of the best work Marvel have done. Like when I usually take a moment to appreciate stuff in the Guardians, this gave me the same thing. It tickled that part. It gave me
that
brain
nerd,
goo. It tickled that bit of my brain that gets excited about this kind of stuff.
yeah. So the way the Loki comes about when you're
Just a
watching
moment for me. Serotonin is brain goo.
serotonin is brain goo. Yes,
Yeah,
we will.
Steph's sitting here laughing at me because I said brain goo.
It's the
Sorry,
same thing.
a goblin brain goo.
Goblin brain goo. Yes, shiny click clack rocks. Yes. So the way Loki comes about, we watching the Infinity War
Endgame.
when they go. Oh no,
No, no, it's an endgame.
Endgame.
Endgame is where they go back in time.
No, it's Infinity War.
No.
Endgame
When
ends
did
with
you?
the snap.
No. Infinity
I
War
have them
ends.
reversed. Thanks, brain.
Yes.
I'm a fucking idiot. Endgame. Yes, they go back in time. You actually see the specific scenes from Endgame when
No stairs.
yes, no more stairs. The future version of Iron Man or Tony Stark gets smacked by a door and he loses the cube, and you see Loki grab the cube and vanish. This is where that starts off. So this is the one that technically doesn't start at the end of Endgame, but it also does start at the end of Endgame, or with the inclusion of Endgame.
It's kind of but this is the whole thing with with the Nexus timelines is that
Yeah.
can you see my finger? This
Yes.
is the main timeline. This is where that happens. This is where Thanos is defeated. Loki goes that way.
Yeah. So, well, he gets removed from the timeline completely without creating another branch. Because again, so the
Well,
whole
he
purpose
yeah
of this is he is seen as a variant, someone
variant.
who has now triggered a branch in the timeline, of
I
which
can almost
these.
hear Talora angrily typing.
I can pretty much there's going to be an essay on the right hand side of my screen now. But yes, so he takes the Tesseract, he teleports away with it. He gets seen as a variant, gets transported to the TVA or captured and imprisoned, and they start to question him. And it goes through a brief discussion of what exactly the TVA is, being the three timekeepers. When all time was going to shit, they combined them all into one timeline, and then now I've tried to keep that single timeline and just get rid of any branch that tries to occur, which is where a variant occurs.
Yeah.
Quick
Okay.
catching
So I
up.
just
Yeah.
want to take a second to speak about the cast of the show. I mean, Tom Hiddleston as Loki is awesome as always. I mean,
Been fantastic since the very beginning.
since the beginning. Um,
Going
it's
to Owen Wilson being
Owen
involved
Wilson.
as
Oh,
Mobius.
dude, wow, he
Not
was
once,
amazing.
not once did he
Not,
say "wow." Not once.
I actually want to go. I'm gonna go double check that
You
afterwards
can.
'cause I'm sure.
It is confirmed. He not once did he say "wow."
Okay, so
And
Owen Wilson as Mobius, which was awesome. I loved the character and
fantastic pick.
the end bit where he runs up to him and he like starts saying, "Oh no, Sylvie, you know, killed uh, the he who remains," and then Mobius was like, "Who are you?" I was like, "No, your best friend doesn't remember you."
No, it's not who are you. I think he calls him Nick or something, and he refers to him as if he was a TVA agent.
No, no, no. He does ask him, "Who are you?" Because Loki, as he's saying, "Who are you?" Loki's walking away and is looking at the statue of Kang. So he doesn't know who he is at all, which I was so sad at that because it was so cool to see the change in Loki because he
And
had a
the
genuine
progression between the
friend.
two characters, yeah.
Yeah. And then Sophia Di Martino as Sylvie, which is fucking excellent. Gugu Mbata Raw as Ravona Renslayer.
And also the high school, teacher or
Still
principal.
Ravona Renslayer, just she's just a variant. And then one thing that I was personally thoroughly impressed with was Richard E. Grant as classic Loki.
I think when we go into to more discussion about the end of time or the end of time that has been created thus far, being the inclusion of all the other variants of Loki, I thought the way they did that for the different race, different gender, different species versions of Loki was fantastic, especially explaining the multiverse
Yeah.
difference between from what you see from compared to what is possible and what's out there.
Also, Frog Thor. I don't know if you caught that in that episode.
When they see Mjolnir underground and you see a little version of Thor jumping and hitting
It's
the
Frog Thor. So from
frog
one of
Thor.
the comic runs. Uh, Let me just get it. Frog Thor. Uh,
I feel like
Throg. Throg is
Throg.
his name, and it's from a actual comics run where there was Throg. I will send you a link to a photo from the um, original. That's not.
Being this image.
No, no, no.
Sorry, I searched Throg and that's the first thing that comes up for me.
I'm sending you the link now. Go have a look at that.
Oh well. But yes,
Uh, Throg is old, like Golden Age old. Did it not come through?
no. Would you see the redirect?
There we go. There's Throg.
Throg.
It's. I want to. I think I may get a tattoo of Throg. I want to carry this image with me wherever I go.
And not only mentally.
No, no, it will. And then I'm going to show every new person that I meet Throg. Um, but I just thought that the little inclusions in this show was so great. Um, the the one of the highlights for me being that episode, alligator Loki.
Alligator, yeah.
It it was just the way it
I
fits
thought it was
together.
funny. Just the if you want to call it a civil war at the end of time, end of created time between all of the variants of Loki that managed to survive. That
Oh,
was
that
fantastic.
in the void.
Yeah. Thanos. What?
Thanos copter. Yes, that was another inclusion. So
Yes, I
in
did
one of the
see
scenes,
that.
so the Thanos copter was a marketing thing from Marvel. They were trying to get parents to buy their kids more toys. So they had Thanos get a helicopter and then produce toys for the Thanos copter. There were so many little bits and pieces dripped through this that was just like a joy for me to see. In Yes, that is the exact toy. So the Thanos copter.
Yeah, I thought as soon as I saw this, it threw me for a loop for a second, questioning why the hell was Thanos' name written on the tail of this massive copter, and then obviously I'd eventually gone to go like read up and find out that this being a toy they sold when the comics were released. I thought it was a fantastic inclusion into a series
Because
based
this
on the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe, where they throw in something that they had, you know,
it's
done.
it's real like deep cut stuff that a regular viewer wouldn't understand, but people who are further into the comic side can really appreciate.
Yeah,
I thought
and
that all of it was excellently done.
so let's go back to the beginning here. your excitement, your joy, your over-eager side needing to tell the entire world about why Loki, the series, is the best, no matter what they
So
argue with.
good.
You are the man sitting behind this little table that says Loki series is the best. Prove me wrong.
Change my mind.
Change
And
my
then whenever
mind.
anybody tries to say anything, I'm just like, no, you're wrong.
No, you're wrong. It's
No,
the alligator
you're wrong.
Loki that makes it amazing.
There's an alligator Loki pop that I will sell my firstborn for.
I will sell your firstborn for it too.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so as long as we know
It's a
you're
good
not
thing
having
I
a
don't have
firstborn
kids.
yet.
But I thought that it was so well written, and the humor was there, and it came so naturally throughout the entire series. It was just like right at the beginning, Loki's like, "No, don't touch this. This is fine as Guardian leather," and then the thing
And just
burns it off of him
demolishes
with
it.
the laser.
And you're just standing there naked, like, what the fuck? Clearly
I
showing that TVA does not give a fuck about your
They
personal
don't.
belongings, nor does that prison give it back to you.
Yeah, they just I thought that it was so well written, and though we'll get into, look, I don't have any negatives. I think I need to rewatch the series to get
I
for
think,
the sole purpose of finding stuff to complain about. Okay?
yeah. So for me, I enjoyed the pop-up humor that came out here and there out of the seriousness of a lot of the situations, especially when they sent Loki into his personal pain time loop, where he cuts off
So
Sif's hair, and then Sif's knees him in the balls, or slaps him, knees him in the balls, and then punches him and walks away. And he says he's done. Eventually, after some time, you see him. He's like, "I've done this thousands of times. Just do it already," type of thing. It truly shows like the power of the TVA is extensive, but their knowledge about certain things is a problem.
yeah,
Especially that they didn't know none of them in their selves were variants, except for Judge Renslayer.
no, Judge Rance, I only found out that she was um a variant after Loki comes back and starts screaming that they were variant.
No, remember she
Uh,
had a pen from the high school where her original story, or her original non-variant
yeah.
version
How did I miss
school.
that?
That's why there was so much emphasis on that blue pen, and eventually you see, I think it was B13, 15 or 18.
Yeah, B13.
B13 goes to the school and says, "Hold on a moment, don't prune me," and then you see Judge Renslayer's non-variant version walk into the room, and Tolora's going specific into episodes, but we'll read that comment in a
Yeah.
second. And then they question Judge Renslayer, "What are you doing here? What should we do?" And the variant, or the non-variant version, completely baffled and confused on who the hell Judge Renslayer is. It then shows more understanding to the rest of these people that there's a lot more behind what you think
Yeah.
you know. And one part that bothered me was the stupid animated, like, 1960s clock character with a face that walks around. That is pretty much minutes.
Miss Minutes was, but so many people loved Miss Minutes, and I thought she was like a cool add-on, but for the most part, I ignored her part in it because
She
was a side, but she wasn't as interesting as
I
like
think
they presented Sylvie, and she was like,
yeah.
and
So
even B13, there were so many other side characters that were significantly more interesting, and a lot of people were like so hyper focused on Miss Minutes.
yeah, for me, I was focused from B13 from the very beginning, because she gets included in episode 1 as soon as Loki deviates off the timeline.
She is the
Before before you continue there, Talora, I would like you to go into a bit more detail in the chat so we can read and talk about episode 8, but we will get to that.
I will talk about episode.
We will get to you in a moment as well.
Talk about it.
We will get to both of you. So I'd like Talora to also put her comments. I want the chat to also, give their point of view so we can also discuss those sort of things. So yes, definitely, Talora, please and thank you. But yeah, so Miss Minutes, knowing for a fact that this character obviously was hiding something from everyone at the TVA, but also acting as if she was just this AI built to help function the TVA, kind of flip-flopped between an idea of what kind of, was necessary but not really necessary at the same time. I think running a normal AI would have worked just as well.
Yeah.
So
That as the show went further on, I felt that it deepened the lore so much more. Like one of my favorites was Loki at Pompeii, and like
yes,
opening the goat thing,
and raging
like
onto these
run my
people,
horned friends, and nothing happening.
and people saying like, "What the hell, you fucking weirdo," and he can speak their language, and it's so funny, especially with him coming up with the idea of how the other variant of Loki, being Sylvie,
Yeah,
was hiding in, you know,
I just
major
I
tragic.
just want Loki and Sylvie to live happily ever after. That's
Yeah,
all
no,
I want.
that's not happening, and also, what the fuck?
Why? What the fuck?
They are the same person.
Yes, but they deserve to be together. They
That's
love each other.
that is the same as saying it's you and your right hand deserve to be together
No,
forever.
because this isn't a sentient being who looks like Stephanie DiMartino. Um,
Yet, with enough makeup.
but I love moving on then to Stephanie DiMartino as Sylvie. Excellent casting choice. She was brilliant in the role. She gave off a Loki vibe,
Definitely
um,
yes.
and I just thought she did wonderfully as somebody who's gone through similar traumas to Loki.
Well, I think a lot more in
Yeah, because the
the
TVA like
pruned,
pruned
or
her.
yeah, well, not pruned her. They kidnapped her at a younger age,
Yeah.
and she had to deal with living on the run from the very beginning. Whereas Loki, from normal timeline, was just a dick. So, bit of a difference, but
Um,
still understanding the pain
yeah,
that each Loki has to go through, with them constantly saying that all Lokis are set up for is failure, for
yeah,
the progression of others to succeed,
yeah.
and
For others to defeat them and
yeah,
be the
and
heroes.
and that kind of gives you again a human,
Glorious purpose.
yeah, but it gives you that emotional connection to this otherwise, it's Loki, yeah, fuck him up type of thing. No, it now gives you feelings towards Loki, and
Yeah.
Loki needs to, get the win for once.
And I like the fact that they pushed a lot of his character development, um, because now he had a friend, like somebody who didn't need something or didn't like wasn't using him. They weren't just immediately mistrusting of him because of who he was. They actually put some faith in him.
Yeah, there was more of an understanding to who Loki was, because she in herself was a Loki.
No, no, I'm speaking here more about Mobius than Sylvie,
I think
because
from Mobius, it's oof. There's an essay right
yeah,
there.
there's the
We will get into that in a second. Um, no, definitely Mobius. I think eventually, as soon as he found out that the only person who hadn't been lying to him was the person known for lying the most,
mm,
I think that's what triggered him to find,
Loki's change.
yeah, Loki's
Yeah.
massive change.
And I
Um,
like the fact that they're now fleshing out Loki as more of a real person rather than just this trickster.
yeah, I'm gonna read it here. The entire series was good, and they built the final up, but we
Finale.
didn't finale. Wow, my eyes are really that bad. The entire series was good, but they built the finale up, but we didn't learn anything new. My immediate thought after watching it was, called it, and it was everything we knew was going to happen. I knew I was going to, I knew going into the episode that that would be the case, but I was still disappointed, and it was really talky, talky. However,
Yeah,
Jonathan Majors carried the entire episode and did an incredible job. That he definitely did.
yeah.
He
I
definitely did.
loved. Jesus.
I felt like they used the last episode as a trade-off piece to officially start Phase 4. I can definitely agree with that. The way they ended it being he who remained, you know, talking about, as Talora says,
Jonathan Majors.
Jonathan Majors. Wow, my son is bad. You know, the character that he's portraying, and this as you had described to me, a worse villain than Thanos.
Yeah, I mean, Kang the Conqueror is powerful.
So yeah.
He is one of the big bads.
Now you're doing the thing where you're throwing out a name but not explaining much.
Okay, so let me then break this down. So He Who Remains was the I'm gonna reference the comics here a lot. He Who Remains was the person who started the TVA. Kang the Conqueror was a serious Avengers level villain. In this, they've tied a neat little bow around it by making He Who Remains and Kang the same person from different timelines. Just the one is far worse and far more tyrannical than He Who Remains, who was the nice guy. And again, Jonathan Majors did an excellent job. I just hope that we would get to see him as Kang. Because yeah, it does. It is the official, like, kick off to Phase 4. But as I discussed earlier, I have a very low bar for these TV shows. I expect them to be a fun way to introduce new properties, like Secret War, Armor Wars, Secret Invasion, Armor Wars, Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, or however, if it's just Ant-Man Quantumania.
This especially is a big lead towards multiverse madness from
Yes.
Doctor Strange.
Definitely, there is a lot of multiverse of madness. Like this, especially with the Nexus splitting like it did at the end of the episode.
Yeah.
That's definitely going to tie into multiverse of madness quite heavily. But the biggest thing that they're pointing at right now is Quantumania, because Kang is going to be the villain.
Yeah.
Leave it to Kang to start the multiversal war with himself. Well, he won the multiversal war with himself, and now he's just going to go to the multiverse. He's just going to start a multiverse war
again
with everybody else.
Yeah. So
the Avengers included.
Yeah. So this being that the version that they killed off was holding back the possibility of Kang the Conqueror and the other, as we are putting it, as the actual word, variants of, the one who remains, or Kang, or the person who ends up becoming Kang the Conqueror and so forth. Them killing him off starts this chain, and him being the one that was initially holding it back. And in order to prevent all this, someone needs to take his mantle and continue to do so. But obviously, since Sylvie did the one thing you don't do and poked him with the pointy end, has now started all the shit.
Yeah. So I think that the multiverse war was won. The one, like He Who Remains won before, but now that he's no longer there, Kang is the one who won. And that is the best and worst case scenario. So He Who Remains being the best case, and Kang is now the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
He is going to be Kang the Conqueror, and he's going to do whatever he can to conquer. And I think from here, it's going to... he's now going to want to conquer Earth, 616 Earth.
Yeah.
And that's going to then be the Avengers level threat that in Avengers 5 we're going to get to see.
So this is especially being around how this Kang the Conqueror is going to be coming about, and this is a major problem that I've had with series, or not only that, animated series, especially taking the DC, Marvel universes and so forth. Characters that can manipulate and screw up entire timelines by doing whatever they do, then starts to throw a lot of confusion. Being in the DC universe, the way the Flash runs about and fucks up all timelines, Marvel has, been right in trying to keep it in its progressive state, to keep it flowing as one idea.
Yeah, the sacred
leaping.
timeline.
Yeah.
And I think that they're going to have to step very carefully from here on out not to screw up, or if they do rewrite history as we know it, to
Fix what they.
or not really fix, but to really think about what they're doing and the repercussions of the actions of their characters
Yeah,
within
so
the universe as a whole.
understanding how the TVA functions, knowing that the TVA in themselves were what were keeping the Flash paradox occurring in the Marvel universe from happening. That's what the TVA, in essence, was designed to do, to get rid of any paradoxes or any versions or variants that might deviate off of one main timeline. That was, in my essence, Marvel's way of preventing any, massive confusion or massive errors or massive mistakes that they could do by doing like working with the TVA, bringing them into context, and now obviously throwing them out with the killing the one who remains. This is, as you say, they have to tread lightly.
Yeah.
But I'm also excited to see how they run with it
Yeah.
and
What
see if they do better than DC.
Probably.
Hey, Steph, again, Steph the chef.
Hello,
Thank you so
V.
much for following. And yes, I'm saying hi this time so you can hear me. Is she watching?
I don't know.
I hope she is because I'm saying hi. But no, I very much enjoyed it. There were some minor confusing parts which eventually got explained, but still left me with a bit of confusion. But especially with Miss Minutes annoying me. Other than that, I would still suggest this series. As I say,
I
this
would
and Winter
as well.
Soldier, my top two.
Yeah.
Out of the three that came out of the Disney Plus, those
And
are the two I would definitely go and rewatch just for the sake of rewatching.
I'm quite excited to see what they do in season 2. I just hope that they are able. Okay, before I make that point, I'm excited to see what they do and how they handle it.
Yes, because it is guaranteed. There was a end credit scene
Yeah.
where they stamp on the page saying Loki will be back for season 2.
Yeah, and I mean the list for what this sets up is rather short to my knowledge, which is Loki season 2, Quantumania, and Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
And I just hope that they have the same writers. I know that the director isn't coming back, which I'm quite sad about because she did an amazing job. She really did. She gave the entire feel of the show had that. It had what DC is missing.
Yeah.
It was able to balance both serious and funny.
Yes.
And it just. I'm definitely going to rewatch the show because it was just so excellently done.
And as we discussed, I mean, I definitely want to watch it because I've enjoyed the cinematics behind this, the story behind it, the behind the disguise sort of situations that occurred. Who knows what?
Yeah.
How do they know it? I mean, being these 3 timekeepers that were all actually robots and none of them existed, turning to the one who remains.
One thing that clued me into Kang being the final, like where they were going, was the middle timekeeper looks like Kang from the comics, and Kang in the end scene, the statue of him is wearing his comic accurate
Attire.
garb. His outfit is that of Kang the Conqueror.
Yeah.
I just
Also,
hope they don't do the blue face.
well, we'll have to wait and see. But I think everyone that might have watched it also missed that in the halls walking into. Also, let me go back before that. Them, being Sylvie and Loki, enchanting this massive beast that anything it touches, it destroys. Somehow they're managing to enchant it by the power of togetherness. They could succeed. That was we've seen it in other things. I mean, it was a bit of a a letdown, but it in itself was not enough for me to give any discredit to the series itself.
Yeah, it was. Alioth was, pretty forced in, though he wasn't a big enough. He was just a guard dog.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got a massive part in the comics, but because he's like Galactus, who just keeps consuming worlds.
But again, who's to say he might not show more of a face
Yeah,
in
in the
future?
in season 2, or with whatever the hell Kang is gonna do
Yeah,
in
in
Quantumania.
so
Um,
yeah, talking about letdowns about the series being Miss Minutes and that scene specifically.
what, where she just pops up?
No, no, not that scene where they enchant
Oh yeah,
this massive cloud guard dog. Those are two letdowns. Obviously, prior to them, enchanting this beast, you then have comic book looking Loki creating this entire like uh, not ethereal, but you know,
he's creating a fake
yeah, a fake
Asgard.
Asgard, an entire Asgard though, not just this tiny piece. Also showing you the sheer size of this guard dog being able to just rip through what, in essence, if was Asgard, would have been destroyed.
Yeah,
Showing that it's this massive beast, but again, it's the power of their connection that made them
it's the
enchanted.
power of love. And she's not Loki, she's Sylvie, as she said most of the time, and her and Loki deserve to be happy again.
And
Uh,
yes, she was then turned to Loki, this Loki, Loki, that Loki. When we go to the one who remains, handing them the tea, he refers to her as Loki and not Sylvie, and she doesn't fight him back for it.
I guess that's because he knows that she is a Loki variant, and she knows that he knows that she's a Loki variant. So
It's the back
fighting
and
it.
forth, yeah.
But
It's
there's also no point in fighting it because she was gonna kill him no matter what.
yeah,
There's no outcome where she wasn't going to kill him.
and obviously
Um,
with the one who remains knowing that outcome, well,
yeah,
knowing up until a certain point everything that was going to happen, knowing that this part he didn't know about, but he was most likely right about her killing him.
yeah. He didn't know that he didn't know for a fact because he had all the information up to a point. But I think he knew deep down that she was gonna kill him.
Yeah,
That was
because I
gonna be the
mean he's
outcome.
seen her past, knows exactly what she's like, so he knows what she'll do.
Yeah,
But yeah, so getting on to the point, as soon as they walk through, after they talk to Miss Minutes, when she offers them all of this shit, they walk through and you see the three statues of the three timekeepers. But one statue, where a fourth timekeeper is supposed to be, is destroyed.
I didn't notice that.
Go back and watch it. There is only one statue. You'll see them. They sort of sit in a square face with the three timekeepers, and then the fourth timekeeper, you just see a destroyed statue on the floor. You don't see a face of anything. But I think that's where the one who remains, that's where his statue would have been.
And I think also he's not. Going on what was shown, what the character was shown to be is that he didn't want to be a ruler, but
No,
he
he kind of he
the
put himself in a position that it was either him or death. He chose life, and it put him in a point where he wasn't necessarily happy, but he had a job to do. He does further explain that we all have our jobs to do, we all have our parts to play, and that was his part. So I think going forward, being with Kang the Conqueror, both in Ant-Man and watching how the Multiverse of Madness will unveil, that's where I come to the poster that I spoke about right in the beginning. There is a poster for the Multiverse of Madness with male Loki and Sylvie on each side of Doctor Strange, staring through that glass of where you see the timeline branching off. That is the poster I referred to, and that part made me excited.
I'm just going and having well, I'm seeing one where it's Wanda and
I'll see if I can find it. It might have also been Wonder there.
but I absolutely loved it, and to the whole thing of it's very talky. I did not feel as though the last episode had to offer up any new information other than um, who was, who the person at the end of time was. Um, and of course, if you don't go and look at all the theories and you haven't read the comics, if you're a regular viewer, that is still a surprise to find out,
Yeah.
that this is this person.
Uh,
Um,
and as a regular viewer who doesn't quite know that detail about the comics outside of research about certain aspects, I think when you see this unknown villain that's now going to be a face of a new phase, it kind of excites you even if you don't know who they are. It
Because
could
it's
be,
now, it's like a lot of people didn't know who Thanos was.
yeah, and this could lead to a whole set of them explaining how um, all of this comes about, how the entirety of Kang the Conqueror now comes to be. And I think it then leads them with a good place to start for the Phase 4 grouping.
Yeah.
And I think that was a fantastic way to do it.
And look, I'm a bit weird in that I like talky TV shows, especially when it's something like this and they're spouting all this information about made up stuff. I absolutely love it. It's why I
It's,
read as
yeah,
much fantasy as I do. I love the episode. It did feel a little rushed, but then again, I came in with, I think, significantly lower expectations of these TV shows.
I think
So
especially
I
coming off of watching One Division, there
and
is starting as given your starting expectation is the very first impression you get.
Yes,
So
so
the
I
very
didn't
first
come,
impression was shit.
not shit, but I wasn't, it's not, I didn't go into it with the same expectations that I have of a Marvel movie.
No,
I came in with the expectations that this was going to push something else. It was going to push a movie or another TV show, and I just enjoyed it for the content that it was, rather than, for what I expected it to be, rather than expecting it to be the same level as a Marvel movie, which
yes,
again wraps
definitely.
all the way around to our conversation about Black Widow, is that it didn't live up to the expectations set by Marvel for their movie.
Yeah,
Where
whereas this is
Loki,
one that I think a lot more time, effort, and thought was put into
yes,
their progression. That as well, I would give the same comment to Falcon or Captain America and the Winter Soldier. The exact same time, effort,
yes,
and thought was given to
it
that
was put
series.
into this, and I think with the correct amount of time, effort, thoughts, and love, that they could continue this. They could branch off Sylvie in her own thing.
Yes,
They could do so much with what what's happening in the show. Um,
especially because there is no fourth or any hints or anything given to what happens after Sylvie kills the one that
yeah, she
remains.
like sits down and she knows. I think that her like sitting down there, she, it wasn't in victory. She knew that she had taken the wrong path.
Yeah,
That
but I
she had
think
made,
emotions had gotten the better of her. She had
yeah,
made a decision and afterwards regretted it, but knew she couldn't change it.
yeah. There was nothing that she could do, and she couldn't kill, um, He Who Remains. There's no way that just her alone was gonna kill Kang.
Yeah.
There's
So
no chance of that happening because he is that like he's on par with Thanos with the five Infinity Gauntlets, in power level, but without the downsides. Also, he's not a god like Thanos was.
no, he's a human that's as
Has
they
got the
explained, took science from all worlds that made all of the worlds better and combined
and
them for each of the worlds.
yeah, and now he's he's the worst version of himself. He
Yeah.
is again, he's Kang the Conqueror. The operative word there is conqueror. He's going to take and destroy as much as he could.
Yeah.
Though one thing that I also did really appreciate was, um, He Who Remains motivations, because he had the best motivations of a pseudo villain that I think I've seen so far in Marvel.
I
Because he
think
was
for
like, I
me
am doing, yeah,
the character placement, the acting for
he
He
was
Who
amazing,
Remains
dude.
was fantastic. It was on point
Because
for a person who, first of all, has been by themselves for
for
many lifetimes
yeah, Because he was
And
so giddy all the time.
yeah, and he was like so on edge because there's finally another person to talk to, and he's not by himself, and it's not
Yeah,
this
it's not just him
Miss
and Miss Minutes.
Minutes, and that he, by the way, also truly hates. So the maker who hates his own creation.
But not in a like really artistic Frankenstein way.
No,
Just
just a
sort of in a sad.
yeah. He's just like, ugh, this thing I made is so annoying, and I thought it was fantastic. I mean, perfectly explains the type of character that was left behind to
Mm.
run the rest of time.
But now it's gonna be interesting to see
What branch
what
comes
they
from
do
it?
with Kang and how what type of person he is,
And it's very
and how
interesting to know
he's
that the TVA works for Kang.
yes, and the TVA also know who Kang is. It's
Because I
not
mean,
like
with the giant statue of him, it's obviously their god or their
or their ruler.
creator or their ruler, their conqueror. In other words. So I mean, it's
Again,
very
the operative word.
yeah. So I mean, it's very exciting to see how they play with this, and of course, being careful, but we can see that there's a lot that they can do where they don't have to be too careful about it.
Yeah.
But there are certain things that us as viewers, especially those who have opinions, are going to focus on.
Yeah, and I'm very very excited for Quantumania. Like I was already, I was very keen on it, but now seeing the villain, we've known who the villain was for a while,
But I
but
think the
I
introduction of that villain was
of that
key.
villain, though you do need to remember that it is a different character to who we saw. Because Kang
Yes.
the Conqueror and He Who Remains are two different people.
Again, the same as the two variants of Loki's, or the multiple variants of Loki's. But yes, final reviews on this, and then on the three in general, as we give this a wrap up for this podcast. What are yours?
I'm going to rewatch it. Everybody who's listening to this should also go. If you haven't seen it, go watch it 4 times. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Watch
no-
it. Watch it for Throg.
Yeah, just watch it, see if you spot Throg, and if you do, point it out in the comments
And then
if you
go
want to.
and then go rewatch the entire series just to see Throg again. Before we end, I do want to again make a point on like the Richard E. Grant's classic Thor, classic Loki. I really hope we see him in more Marvel.
Well, I mean,
product-
that again, that was something that was left open because
Yeah,
you
because,
didn't see him get killed.
No, you didn't see him get killed, and he, in his own words, like Loki's don't die.
Yeah.
That's their special power is that they don't die, and like
And one
as,
of his abilities was teleportation.
and as Aloth is coming towards him, you see his power flare up in his hands as he's screaming glorious purpose.
Yeah.
So we don't know if now he's going to like show up somewhere else because he fooled them. Another thing that he says is that he fooled the Mad Titan. He fooled Thanos into
and
with
ended up
an
defeating
illusion.
Thanos.
No, it didn't defeat him. He just
Well,
fooled
he
him
yeah. So
because
I thought
Thanos
it
won
was
in his timeline.
yeah, but I mean, he moved off to an offset planet in solitude by himself, missed his family, and decided as soon as he decided he wanted to go back, he became a variant.
Yeah.
So again, yes, very much excited. Definitely for all of those viewers, those commenters, those people in chat, go rewatch Loki. If you've watched it already, go watch it again.
It's 6 hours. You can do it in a night.
Easy. I think I did it in an afternoon, and then I had to wait for the last episode to be released as well to go there and go watch that one. So no, very easy to go watch, and it's easy on the eyes, it's easy on the mind, especially for those who are not as in
If you're not
depth.
gonna sit and constantly focus on everything that's being said and everything that's going on, it's great.
Yes, and also
Like,
enjoy it for the funny gags that are thrown here and there.
Yeah.
Uh, especially watching Loki fuck up Morbius's salad with salt and pepper and juice
And a
box.
juice box.
So yes,
Okay.
small funny things. Definitely rewatch from my personal opinion.
Definitely.
And out of the three, we have a top ranking from both of our sides being definitely Loki. Uh, part of me still
A close second.
close,
Captain
very
America
very
North.
close second being Captain, Captain America and the Winter Soldier, or for those who haven't watched yet, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and skip it in its entirety being WandaVision.
Yeah. Well, look, if you're serious about watching everything, watch WandaVision. If not,
Yeah, if for me, if
not gonna
again,
hurt
if
to not watch it.
you're not going to miss anything if you skip past the series. It's not much of a train smash, so if you don't feel like you have the time nor willingness to do so, by all means you can skip it. The
Yeah.
other two, though, definitely go and watch.
Or, but you again, I suppose you could maybe skip them. You see, we went a little too over time, and
Oh.
then my camera cut out.
That's okay. We'll leave it on the last few thoughts.
Watch for the spectacle because they are awesome. They're truly good shows.
Yes. So, had it for a second there.
Nah,
Oh,
I'm back.
there it is. Okay.
Yeah, watch it for the spectacle because they are awesome shows. As a side note, though, we do get Marvel's What If next month.
We do.
We do.
That is excitement.
11th of August, we get Marvel's What If. And I suppose we will wait until it's over.
Should we decide to have a podcast about it?
Well,
Because again,
we probably will.
we are
We'll
absolute
do-
buggery. We have opinions about anything and everything to do with pop culture. We are dealing with the most recent stuff at the moment. We will dive back into historical shows. I know someone has very deep feelings about a certain Green Man recreation story, but we'll get into that at a different stage. But thank you guys.
You mean the movie I refuse to go and watch?
Yes, but we'll go back into further things at a later stage should things calm down a bit regarding releases. But
Yeah.
for now, I think that is it for the evening.
Yeah, I think I have said all I wanted to say. Thank you very much.
You've got all the excitement off your chest.
No, I could still go and talk to you about Loki.
I think we'll do that offline. But yes, thank you for everyone for watching. Thank you for all the comments. To Laura, thank you so much for all your assistance when we fudged up a whole bunch of names and a bit of history. You are you are our nerdy Wikipedia for everything we need. So thank you so much again for all of the people who follow us. Thank you. We appreciate it. We're absolute buggery and we have opinions.
We had opinions.
No, we still have more. They're coming.